Hey everybody, my name is Justin Malloy and welcome to day 28 of my MentalFit Challenge. The MentalFit Challenge is a program I put together for myself to help me really enjoy doing the things that progress me in life. So day 28, this is end of week 4. This is the last day of the buffer zone before playing video games is non-negotiable, essentially. And I had a really good recording on this yesterday. What I kind of found was that yesterday I was playing some video games in the evening, and I was pretty consistently winning, right? Which is good because how dopamine works is expected result actual result minus expected result, right? So if you just keep winning, usually people don't expect to just keep winning. So kind of what that did for me is, I ended it and I'm like, well, I don't really understand. I'm not really feeling that sort of high that I normally get, right? Where it's winning versus losing and that sort of stuff. And and I realized something that was a bit interesting, which was it wasn't just about winning for me. So this game is called Legion TD2. That's not super important. The important thing is that when I got into the game, the metagame or the way that players played the game, as a general rule, was that they played very kind of defensively, which allowed you to get really high numbers in the game because the game went on for much longer. Now the metagame is much more aggressive, right? So instead of 30-minute games, you have 10-minute games. And it is a lot easier to win, but it is also, you also don't get those high numbers. You don't really get to have those amazing synergies and build up this really nice thing that you can be like, yeah, look at all this stuff that I've built. And I realized that I wasn't enjoying the game as much in the new meta, even though I was winning a lot more often. And that was interesting to me because it kind of made me realize that I play video games to build something, right? And the if you were to ask me what my ideal video game would be, it would be first person RPG, which means I am playing a character. I'm not playing an empire or anything like that. I'm playing a single person. City builder. So I go around, I collect materials, and I build, cities and villagers populate, and I play sort of mayor, and I feel like I am playing someone that is building something. That would be kind of my ideal game, and that doesn't translate super well over into video games, generally speaking. And it definitely doesn't do so when we talk about little bunny. Anyway, I'm finding that I'm not really getting this. I'm not getting the same pleasure that I used to out of video games, and sort of the meme around it is, gaming hits different as you grow up, right? And you kind of find that it's missing a lot of stimulus that life has, right? A lot of the more complex and engaging parts of life isn't emulated in video games. And so I found that the true reason that I love to play the types of video games that I play is because I get to build something. And that was really interesting for me in combination with what I've been learning from some of the Jordan Peterson videos. He is a psychologist, college professor, therapist. He does some stuff. But mostly he's known for giving lectures and making videos on self-empowerment from a very low bar sort of standard where, life is suffering. Yeah. And your goal is to like be useful. Yeah. That's like basically the gist of what he's talking about. Now, of course, gists are nice and all, but some of the more specific ways he says it is important as well, which is one of the things that relates to what we're talking about here is that people often feel like the potential that they have around them that's immediately available for them to actually turn into real, whatever, it's skills, stuff, whatever you want to call it, is beneath them. A good example of this is, someone someone like me who was playing a lot of video games and wasn't really making any money, and comes from a rich family that has a lot of very high expectations. Where, I'm thinking, yeah, whatever, making my bed, that doesn't really matter, right? In comparison to what I've seen my parents do, like making my bed is just not a thing. But that is an inconsistent. That is the wrong way to be able to look at it, because as you grow, you have more potential that you have access to, and before you start truly growing, you don't have a lot of potential access to a lot of potential. So, you start with the small stuff. You start with the things that you really can't control. Now, Jordan Peterson talks about a lot about, telling the truth, right? That's something that's very difficult. And, but it's something that you always have access to trying, right? And the little things, making your bed, making sure your bathroom is clean, cooking when you can, things like that, just little baby steps. Because what it does is, once you do those things, then you have a higher capacity to see what other potential is around. And then there's a snowball effect if you continue on going with the process. And I realized that video games have been my way to kind of skip that middle step of going through all of the different potential progressions before I can get to the place where I can actually build empires. And that's really good for me to know, because what it kind of does, it gives me this false sense of not only accomplishment, but reaching for the things that I truly think will fulfill me in the long term, right? Creating this thing that will keep giving back after I'm gone, right? And that takes a lot. I will have to be a very, very competent person to get to that point. And I am not yet a very, very confident person. I'm like semi, almost kind of competent, right? There's a couple of words in there before I get to competent, and there's a couple of words before I get to, very, very competent. And it's important for me to understand that I have to go through that progression for me to actually make this real world change so that I can feel fulfilled. And so I feel much better about stopping video games now after having this realization, because it links video games to a much more sizable block to me moving forward into the things that I actually want to be doing. So that was sort of my big realization yesterday, and it was definitely a good thing for me to understand. I'm not going to go on a walk today. I've been feeling like my body has had some really low energy recently, and it's not because I'm not getting enough sleep, and it might be related to video games. We'll see over the next week or so, as I again do more walks. But my walks have been a lot more like hikes recently, so I'm going to give it a day off and see what happens. Yeah. So, as always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.